Hello, everyone. Welcome to Loud and Proud Orlando. We are live Monday, November the 17th, 8:05 p.m. About 25 people joining us right now live. So thank you for your support. My name is Luis Carlos Pineda, and I have also John Rollins with me as my co-host and partner. We have a lot of topics to kind of dive in today. So make sure we're gonna actually timestamp this episode. I already have it pretty much all set to go once this goes to the interwebs as a video. So everybody that wants to watch it after, it's totally fine. It's gonna be timestamped because there's a lot of topics, John, today, a lot of news, a lot of finally we got the list. We just made the list too. So we're going to be discussing the end of season roster statuses and the Boger bomb that just happened a few minutes ago. International appearances, U.S. men's national team versus Uruguay coming up tomorrow. LPO will be there at Raymond James Stadium. So thank you to the U.S. Soccer. And also we're going to be talking about what happened with Paraguay as well. MLS changes, the schedule shift, finally, getting a huge calendar change for first time in history. Is it ambitious? Is it it's going to be a bust? We'll discuss that. New divisions possibly, and the Apple TV updates. We'll discuss all of that and more. Your comments and your support is well taken. Thank you for what you do on this Monday night. I'm here with John. Well, a lot of moves, and I'm gonna say a lot of moves that I've asked the fandom how they were going to feel if not a lot of moves might have happened, not a lot of radical moves. And, we got the list today. They had till the 26th to turn it in technically, but they felt confident to release it today. We'll dive into all of that right now. John, how you feel, my friend? Good to see you.
Good, man. I don't know. I'm up and down. I'm excited about off-season moves and what might happen. Less excited about the roster announcements. More excited about the MLS schedule shift. Honestly, I think that's going to be the part of the show that I'm most excited to talk about today. But, I mean, what a rundown. What a show. Let's get into it. So much going on.
For sure. We have some comments. Landon, can't wait for this one. Oh boy, evening fella says Florida Doodler 18. Thank you, my friend David. Cha-Cha Slide says should be a good one. Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. So let's dive into the roster changes. So Orlando City released their contract statuses as of November 17th of 2025. The roster decisions happened today. And as we kind of hinted here, with Oscar Pereja still being in contract till 2028, we have Papi Forever. Hashtag Papi Forever. You hear? Just listen to that, how that sounds. Hashtag Papi Forever. All right. So, and with that being said, and Papi doing a tour of Europe, and Papi taking part of the decisions, as I already mentioned, on the letting go of Pedro Galese and who's going to take over his place and all these decisions, him going on tour to visit Marco Pasalic to kind of say, hey, you know what, you're Europe right now, you just signed with us, stay with us a little longer, don't leave us, type of thing. And also he probably wants to check out Croatia's camp and all that good stuff. They are close to clinch, if not they already clinched, I think, World Cup. He's part of all the decisions and his coaching staff. So obviously there's going to be news about Perlman leaving and all of that. Those are rumors. I really highly doubt that's going to pan out. Don't get caught up with a lot of the hype. But the nitty gritty is Ivan Angulo option exercise and now under contract through 2026. So we have one more year of Ivan Angulo. Obviously Cesar Araujo saying bye-bye, adios, out of contract, and we don't know what's going to happen with Araujo. Well, we'll wish him the best. Eduardo Tuesta, option was exercised, right? The option was exercised by Eduardo Tuesta, so he's back. Jordan Gervais as well, option exercised. Martin Ojeda and defender Alex Freeman. Kyle Smith and Robin Jensen, are right now negotiating, possibly staying with the club. Robin Jensen's option was declined, and we'll discuss in just a second. Fabian Loyola, after putting that video of buying a Rolex in Miami, I would have also cut him if you ask me. I know I sound a little harsh, but I mean, dude hasn't had 1 minute. And
Did they
then,
not? I thought they did cut Loyola.
yeah, I know they did. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I
Yeah,
thought
I
you were
was just
saying
saying, after he
you
posted
agree.
out him buying a
Yeah.
Rolex, and then,
Yeah. I
I
mean,
would have probably
yeah.
been like, yeah, bro, I think your mind's is in another place. I don't think it's in
I know
soccer.
CB guy, he was never going to make it.
Yeah,
Fabian Loyola was
it's true.
always the number one child for that one.
And then Cartagena signed a new contract, and I think we kind of said it if the money sounded right, and if Cartagena was going to take whatever it was given to him because he doesn't have any other suitors because his injury came in a really worse time in negotiation year, essentially, for his contract. And unfortunately, Forever Alliance, Carlos Mercado, Shak Mohammed, and Fabian Loyola, as we already mentioned. So Forever Alliance. John, for starters, what are your thoughts of all these moves that just happened a few hours ago?
Angulo doesn't excite me. I think that's one that most fans will be very upset about. And I think of all of that, well, we'll talk about Muriel in a second, but Angulo is my second on the list of like, I really don't want to see them back next season. But there you go. I mean, it is what it is. If Oscar's going to be here, he likes Angulo. They want to bring him back. I'm not excited about it. There's nothing to be excited about, in my opinion. Let's just hope Spicer's gonna play more and Angulo is gonna be the backup left back, hopefully. Let's see, or at least maybe he could be like Angulo in 2024. But we can't have another season of him with one goal, like and a few assists. It's just really, or no goals. It was actually one assist, I think. So not good at all there. Cesar, we know. Like that one, I think I don't know if that forced the list to come out, but like he just announced it. Like, his people were just like, hey, I'm out. So obviously that one we knew. Eduardo Atuesta, not surprising. David Brecalo, nothing there. Caraballo, nothing there. Wilder, I think it makes sense. The right thing to do, bring him back on some kind of deal. We talked about that. I mean, there's variations of how extreme you could go. Like I was really in the camp of like, let's get rid of more guys, so I maybe would have said Wilder, you can move on, but I think bringing him back in a sort of rotation capacity on less money, there's nothing really wrong with that, but it is, we aren't sure about what Wilder's going to look like when he's coming back, right? At that age, there are going to be some question marks about what his return from injury looks like. Alex, of course, they're going to exercise his option. We still don't know what's happening. We'll talk a little bit more about him in a second with the Bogart bomb. Pedro, we knew about, of course, respect to him, but thank you very much. Out the door. Jeron Gerbet, no surprise. He was going to be renewed, but of course, is not going to be here most of the season out with that ACL. Colin Gusky, nothing there. Robin Jansen, this one I think is, again, it's variations of ambition for me. Like I would have said, let's move on from Jansen entirely. We haven't renewed his current we didn't take his current contract option. So we said we're going to decline, but we're having negotiations, which basically means we don't want to pay you as much money. So they're negotiating like they did with Wilder to say, let's keep you around. But there are question marks there. Is he going to be a starter? Is he going to be a rotation? I personally think we need to look for other guys to start being our starting center back pair, but maybe they think he's got another year in him to be the captain and leader of this club. I don't know. It depends what kind of, role Jansen's going to be next year. If he comes back, he might not take the option. Fabian Loyola, really, like we said, he was an OCB player. It was a matter of time, I think, before they let him go. Sad to say, but always going to be really good for his nation, but not really a player for MLS. Adrian Marin, they just brought him in. He was going to be here, whether people like him or not. Duncan Maguire, of course, another one. Like we got to, see what he's going to do after a season of, Injuries, Carlos Mercado, that one I was kind of surprised by. I thought that he had a fairly decent season for OCB, but I guess at like 25, 26 or whatever, he's not really a development player. Maybe as a keeper, you could claim you're a development player at that age, but we'll have to see why. I don't know what happened with that one. See where he lands. Maybe another team will pick him up in MLS. I wouldn't be surprised.
There's a USL League One coming up in Central Florida.
Oh yeah, he's perfect for a USL team.
Don't be surprised if that team you see familiar faces.
Yeah, I mean he's still young and had some very good games for OCB made some incredible games for OCB. So I know it's only MLS Next Pro, but I thought maybe he could at least be a decent backup MLS keeper. So I was kind of surprised they let him go, as well as, obviously we let Pedro go. Yeah. Now we're down to one keeper, which is fine. I don't have an issue with that, but we're definitely going to have to see some keepers coming in. Luis Muriel, under contract through 2026. I mean, there's nothing to say there. We knew he was under contract.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk a little bit more about him and what may or might not happen. Martin Ojeda, nothing to say there, of course. Glad to see he's still here. They would, of course, exercise the option on him. Javier Artero, our only goalkeeper. Pasalic still here. Of course, there's rumors of Europe, whatever, but nothing more on that. Tahiri Brown, good prospect for the future. Nico Rodriguez, of course, was going to be here. Even if they decide to sell him, he's still going to be under contract. Rodrigo Schlegel, it's pretty much the same thing. Kyle Smith, similar situation to Jansen. They're, going to negotiate, I guess, with him. And I feel like we did this last year with Kyle. It's like, at some point, I want to question, is this like blood from a stone? Can we, Kyle's not getting paid very much. What are we negotiating to pay him even less money? I don't know. I think either he's a good rotation guy, just pay him, or not. I was a little surprised they didn't just renew him. I thought you would either renew him or just let him go. I don't know why we keep doing this to Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's probably money and also, possibly the opportunity to at some point work in the club. I mean, I think that's
maybe they give a player coach contract. That would be cool.
That's a pathway that I would expect somebody that's the right hand of. I mean, it's one of the Oscar Bray has said he's one of the best players I've ever coached. So, I mean, I know he's an accountant, and a lot of people kind of say that that's what he is. But I mean, I if you know Kyle Smith, you'll know he's that kind of scrappy coach material.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
No, I think as a deep backup option in the squad, like I said before, bring him back, definitely. So I was a little, for how little money he was on, it was a simple, for me, just extend Kyle another year if you're going to keep him. But to kind of go through this, I get it with Jansen because you're really trying to buy him down, but how much you trying to get off of Kyle Smith's already very small contract? I don't know. Tyrese Spicer, nothing to say there. Of course, he only just arrived. Zachariah Taifi, interesting one, is actually out training. I want to shout out to his mom who posted on social media. He's been out in I couldn't say it right.
Moreirense?
Yeah, in Portugal. Training with them, doing some stuff out there. So some experience for him out in some European club, which is really cool. Dagger Dan here for another year, of course. Shitara Sukada and Thomas Williams, young players that we're going to extend the options of. Makes total sense, which means our roster looks like Javier Terra, David Brecalo, Alex Freeman, Adrian Marin, Tahiri Brown, Rodrigo Schlegel, Zachariah Taifi, Thomas Williams, Edward Atuesta, Gustavo Caraballo, Wilder Cartagena, Jeron Gerbet, Colin Gusky, Martin Ojeda, Dagger Dan Thoralson, Ivan Angulo, Duncan McGuire, Luis Muriel, Marco Pasalic, Nico Rodriguez, Tyrese Spicer, and Yataro Sakata.
Yeah. Based on what you're saying right now, to me, it seems, number one, I'm going to put the hat of, if knowing and covering the club for so long and kind of knowing how Oscar's camp in a way by many years of covering kind of things. And again, the fans may feel a little different, and I totally understand. And we'll read your comments and we'll dive in, and I'll say my piece too. But this is, to me, one of the reasons why all of this is. Can you go up a little bit? Can you move up all the way? So, Yeah, right there. So Angulo, from my understanding, per sources, he had a talk with Oscar, and a strong talk. That's that's per sources, and so
Wait, you mean Oscar had a strong talk with him? Because I don't know what
yeah,
he's strong
and
talking to
and
anybody
so
about.
Oscar feels very confident of Tyrese Spicer and Yutaro Sukata right behind him.
Yeah, bro. Like you gotta.
If he continues with this trend into 2026, he ain't gonna think about it twice. He will be dropped into the order of, and he's already making him aware. I'm gonna drop you down to a third stringer winger if needed be, and I'm gonna give you Taro or Spicer, whoever's hungrier, the opportunity to run on that flank. That is the talk he has had, according to sources. So he's like, "Yes, sir, I'll be better." And he's like, this year, they feel confident also that there's going to be some moving parts within the defense and the mid and the D mid portion. That he may be the old Angulo that will go more forward and not so much defending Angulo. So mm, again,
Mhm.
take it with a
We need
grain
a
of
real
salt.
left back for that to happen.
Take it to the grain of salt. But that's what I've been,
And
kind
Goulet
of.
is like the safety wheels on the tricycle that is our whoever's our left back. So like if you
Yeah,
take those away, Adrian Marin's just gonna get slaughtered at a constant, or whoever. I hope it's not him. And I think that's kind of we're talking about here. And I saw some people in the chat post that this lineup so far, and of course it's a work in progress, but
of
like this
course,
roster is, we look at defenders. For me, there's two guys I want to start in David Breclow and Alex Freeman
100%.
right now on the roster. And then in the midfield, Martin Ojeda, Marco Pasalic for sure. Probably Tyrese Spicer if we're going to give him the opportunity to go as a starter. Is Wilder going to be back as a starting D mid? Really, like starting D mids for me, like, do we want to have Atuesta as a starting D mid? Is he going to be good enough? Is him and Wilder going to be the
Well,
combination we need,
well,
or do we need another defensive midfielder as well?
based on, again, this
What I'm
is,
saying overall
I
is just
mean,
like I
Oscar
don't think there's
Oscar
a lot
is
of
driving,
starters in this roster right now. In my opinion,
right,
there's a lot of good roster filler guys, but not a lot of starting quality players.
right. So number one is, I mean, we could have said kind of a similar thing last year in the beginning of the season. There's always around this time, the off season, there's always questions on how depleted we are, how all the signings that we're signing are trash and they're not going to pan out the way they're going to pan out. And then it becomes a trend of some of the moves working very well and some of the moves sucking, right? And so we can certainly say that the Muriel signing, I wouldn't call it the worst signing in Orlando City history, but I would say is probably around top five,
I think it's the biggest waste of
Right.
money
It is probably the
potentially,
biggest
like
waste of money.
especially not big of waste of transfer budget because we spent like $1 million on him, I think, but it in wages, yes, 100%.
100%. So compared to what Surridge in Nashville and compared to what Ty Taribo are getting paid right now,
Oh
it
yeah.
is a disgrace to have Luis Muriel playing at that level. And I think everyone agrees with that. But in the way the club sees it is they don't want to cut the L. You know what I mean? They don't, and they might now with a bogey bomb, they may be doing that kind of to also guys play with the narrative because Tom Bogert, the clubs tell Tom Bogert too. They talk to Tom Bogert. I mean,
And
it's just the way it is. You guys give him that push, and it could be a narrative situation in which they want to kind of plant a little seed there, and then Muriel's agent's gonna say, "Oh, are you sure that's what you want? Oh, I'm gonna fight for my representative, and oh, I'm gonna go look for another." And that can make Muriel upset too, that they dropped that kind of hint, right? So it could spark a little bit of things. I've seen a lot in soccer. It happens often now, but they still feel Muriel is under contract. They don't want to cut that L, and he's going to be part of the team based on the roster decisions. I think when it comes to, if you want to go back real quick for the other page that I was looking at, well, when it comes to Adrian Marin, they're going to give Adrian Marin the opportunity just like they've done every other player they signed. When Ojeda first got signed, there were people in the fandom that were ready to let him go because he sucked. He came as a sub. He didn't have enough impact. They were ready to trade him. Hey, you should trade him. And he's one of our best players now. So they're going to give him that benefit of the doubt to adapt to the league. And he's under contract, so he was not going to go. And now Duncan McGuire, that's my issue. And I want to bring it to you, John.
Yeah.
We have Luis Muriel. I really don't believe that this planting the seed of Muriel may be let go. I really don't. I don't think.
I mean, that's what Bogert is talking about. This Bogert bomb that he set on. Like,
I agree, but
he's talking about that Muriel could leave to open a DP spot.
I could go to the bathroom right now too.
No, I agree, but also what we saw about with Richarlison and everything that I believe the club is going to go after a big name, like a real star name. I genuinely believe that in the offseason.
Richarlison is not.
Maybe I just made that up in my head just because I want it to happen. Maybe I'm trying to manifest it. But that Richarlison rumor, there was something to that. So we're not going out there just blowing smoke for no reason. And if you're not getting rid of Muriel, then you're not getting rid of Pasalic and you're not getting rid of Ojeda. So it has to be Muriel. So I am like with you. I'm like, look, if the only way to get rid of him is to buy him out or to somehow get him to agree to sign for a club in Colombia. But he's going to have to give up his wages. He would literally give up his contract to do that. I don't think he's going to do that. I think maybe if there's a club in Colombia that's interested and they put in an offer and then we pay him some of his wages, we agree a deal. We say, here's half of your wages to go away and we get a bit of money in a transfer maybe. It could be, maybe there's that scenario. Maybe that's what
player like Muriel, a player like Muriel, it's not gonna take the L.
That's why I don't believe he's gonna give up that money. That's a lot of money for him at his age.
And again, a lot of people are entitled to their opinion, but I mean, I know the market there in Colombia. No Colombian team has the money to afford what Muriel is worth.
That's what I'm saying is he would have to take we'd have to come to a compromise.
Right. Either
agree to losing some of that money and we'd pay him some of the money, but not all of it.
Either Orlando,
and it's a win-win for both.
Right. Either both of them are gonna have to take the L and amicably part ways.
Yeah. But I don't think Muriel cares about what we say about him. Honestly, I don't think Muriel cares if I'm like, yo, you suck, you need to leave.
Yeah, he doesn't.
I don't think he cares. He was going to take the money.
Yeah, he's going to take the money.
And we saw at times, like in the Leagues Cup, I don't know whether it was just because we're playing Mexican clubs and he suddenly cares. He turned it on and scored a hat trick. So it's like for me, I just feel like he doesn't care about winning and he doesn't really care. And it's sad to say, but after 2 years, I just feel like he's here for the paycheck. And that really infuriates me because I just don't want to give him the paycheck. I'd rather be like, take the money. I'd rather be like, you don't get the money, or like, here's the money to go away and we'll pay somebody else as well. Just because I can't stand the idea of him getting all that money and us seeing another season of him just really half-assing it, frankly.
Also, again, some of the. And again, all soccer players, when they're back home, their home club does interviews and interviews them, and they all are going to say, "I would love to one day come back." I mean, Cartagena said it when he was with the Peruvian national team for Alianza Lima many times, and he was an Orlando City player. Galeza said the same thing. Same with Araujo when he was in Uruguay, and Facu, I remember as well. So with Peñarol, so it's not really, that's not the reason why the club wants to, do any of that. So I think if this is true, which it could be, to me, I feel like the club is planting a seed, which they do want this to happen. I think this is a desire from the club. I think the club does want Muriel to maybe cut a, get an L, some sort
I
of L, right?
I struggle to believe that Ricardo doesn't, I think Ricardo surely must see what we see, and that he can't think that we're going to be better the last season if we go into the season with Muriel as our DP striker again. We've had 2 out of 3. We've never had 3 out of 3 DPs all
I agree
hit
with
at the
you.
same time. And we are so close to that. You just got to get that
No,
last striker piece right. So I'm sure he sees that, and I'm hopeful that he will look to do something. Like last year, it was a lot of money. This year, it's less money. It's still a lot of money, but I hope that we have enough ambition to move on from Muriel, because I think, if we said this before, if you start a season with him again as one of the DPs, it's just not very exciting, and it's
I
very just boring, for lack of another word.
yeah, I totally agree with you on that sense. And what I'm concerned is, and again, we cannot predict the future, but what I'm concerned is if you look at the current striker corps of Orlando City, nobody's scoring goals. Like no one's scoring goals. I'm talking about the striker position. So even let's say, for example, Muriel leaves. That leaves you with Duncan McGuire. Has Duncan McGuire kind of I mean, what do you think about Duncan so far? I mean, I know the injuries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I understand that he's a very good striker, but is
Well, he's
he
on quite a lot of money, actually,
right? So he's
as
gonna
well. We
stay too,
paid him
right?
to stay after everything that happened, because he had a great season, and then he's just had a lot of turmoil since that first rookie season with the Blackburn thing, and then the 2 shoulder injuries. And he just needs a season where he's not injured and he gets his head down and he gets some goals in the back of the net. And let's see what he can do. I think as a second striker, I think as that striker number 2 on the roster, it's perfect, right? You've got, before we kind of had 3 good strikers. I think Duncan is a good striker. What we need is one great striker. Duncan is our good striker, and then we kind of need a backup rookie, young, whoever, ambitious, maybe could do something kind of striker as well. I think
Now,
before we had 3 guys that were kind of all equally contributing, but really what we need is that one guy who can bag you 20 goals a season, hopefully. And I just don't think that's Duncan this season, but he would be a good rotation backup guy.
now, what Orlando needs in the striker corps, in my opinion, if they say, okay, Luis, we're gonna cut an L. Can you cut an L and we'll take whatever money even this Colombian club gives us $300,000. We'll take it. We'll take the L. Can you take the L too? And if he says yes, he'll leave to Junior or whatever the other club in Colombia is, right? And we have no Luis Muriel. Everybody, right. What I'm looking for personally, as this is an opinion. I'm not saying this. I feel strongly is we need to really do a deep dive scouting into finding a Ty Taribo type striker, a Sam Surridge type striker, because we have other necessities, especially in the back line. If Alex leaves after the World Cup, the D-mid corpse as well, because again, my concern is, yes, these cuts, people may disagree, may agree with it, cool. But I am afraid a lot of the names that we've seen, a lot of young players, and we've seen them a couple of games. We have not seen them for a full match or 3 or 4 games, even back to back. So I haven't seen, for example, Zakaria Taifi of
Play like
3
a
matches
90-minute
straight.
game. Or totally.
I haven't seen, for example,
I would say the
Gutsi.
only way you get there is by playing them, right?
Exactly.
So
And so
I'm encouraged by the fact that we got rid of a few of our kind of guys that were honestly, in my opinion, never gonna be good enough, in probably Shaq Mohammed and Fabio and Lola. Like, I just don't think they ever had the potential to be MLS players.
yeah.
But somebody like Sukada, somebody like Taifi, someone like Gusky, they might still have the potential to be a real significant MLS player. So if you cut out some of the lower roster that's not really contributing, because those are actually MLS roster guys, right? They played on OCB all the time, but they're in that supplemental MLS roster slots. So if you then replace those with guys who are actually going to potentially do something and play, like we've talked about before, you get into the Philly situation where you start to build out the bottom of your roster with quality homegrown talent that can actually contribute and start to, be effective guys in MLS. And once you do that, you really start to open up the doors because they're not hitting your salary cap and all these other things. So I'm encouraged by playing a lot of these. I do agree that what's it going to look like if you play, Gusky in a bunch of games, for example. But I would also say that the only way to improve them or see if they can hang is to actually, throw them in the deep end and see if they can swim.
Yeah. So the way we get like Columbus, like Nashville, like Philadelphia, like those clubs is some of their bench, when they go in, they have the same intensity as a starting squad. And lately, what I've seen for Orlando City is that the current coaching staff is set with a starting 11 with maybe one or two subs, but then the other kids are playing like minute 85, minute 70, and they play 5 to 10 minutes, right? And we don't really get to see the full picture, right? We don't get to see how are they going to act when there's a hot potato or something's happening. So we're going to go ahead and read comments real quick here and questions. So thank you for your support. Let's see here. Let's start from the top. It says here, are you kidding me by exercising the option on Ivan? Well, there you go. I know. Yeah, that's not my call there. Mason Jurcevic, 4105. If Angulo comes off the bench, I'm okay with it. Yeah, I mean, me too. I mean, people are very, I think right now, based on latest performance, I think Tyrese Spicer is probably going to be the starter, in my opinion. If Angulo, I think Angulo, based on his history, I mean, you have to understand he never played before coming to Orlando, so he will take any role you give him at this point. You know what I mean? So, Frankie Cosmos, what's good, y'all? Thank you. What's up, my friend? A 1+1 for Cartagena is good business, whether it turns out well or not. I think the club, for my understanding, they're very confident in Cartagena because the way he's been working on his injury is actually cut time, and he's even was doing ball movements already while the team was in the playoffs. So they feel very confident with him. So, and they got him on a cheap contract. Frankie Cosmos, feel like there's been a common theme of teams moving away from established center backs and keepers. Poor Mercado lost a third stringer goalie wars before they started this year, says Frankie Cosmos. This lineup doesn't excite me. Yeah, I think it doesn't excite anybody. I think me and John were like, 6 open senior roster slots. There you go. Hope we get some real signings. Says Clan Club Clash. Thank you.
Better make sure you say that one correctly.
Landing 21-24. The strong talk needs to be thank you, but see you later. Needed to be dropped now. Yeah, I mean, again, that's not my decision, but we're just here to report that.
Landon's definitely over Angulo. I feel
you. Yeah, everybody's over Angulo.
We feel you, but Landon. We get it.
But if he starts scoring goals again, people are gonna, again, football.
Maybe we just gotta hope for 2024 Angulo. That's
Right.
all you can do now.
I agree. Florida Doodler 18 says it's the attitude issues with Angulo too, though. I want a guy that can be a team player and perform. He hasn't shown that. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, but it's a good, I guess, sprinter that can.
What was that stat you posted? He's like top 10 sprints.
People got so mad about my stat, bro. I'm just reporting the stats, bro. It's an accolade for Angulo. He's the fastest sprinter. A little bit of sarcasm right there, but people take that to heart.
Obviously, I mean, it's stats to stats, right? You can't take that.
It was sarcasm. The
man does a lot of sprints. He's a top 10 in the world in
top 10 sprinters, man. He loves
So
to run. He's like
you need
Forrest
someone to
Gump.
run 50K in like no
He's like
time.
Forrest Gump.
Angulo's your
Run,
man.
Ivan, run. So I agree. I agree with that with Dave right there. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. But yeah, I mean, again, I'm confident with Tyrese Spicer for what I've seen. And I'm really excited to see Yutaro Sukata because he was going to give Ivan Angulo a run for his money this season. Unfortunately, he got injured in a really bad way. But that kid was in FC Tokyo's youth system. That
Yeah.
kid is a stud. And
No, I mean
hopefully,
preseason where he had a couple good games before that happened, and
yeah, he had a hopefully I'm sure he's gonna do preseason and hopefully he's rocking it like he did last preseason.
yeah.
That talk should have been in the mid of last season. I agree with you. Give me Luis Otavio at D mid. We'll talk in just a second. Sige, I want to ask you a question, Sige. You usually ask the questions, but I'm gonna ask you a question now, Sige. Listen, Sige. Were you at the Orlando Pride game wearing a black Orlando Pride jersey and you had a sign that said, "Don't mess with Marta"? If it's yes, put yes in the comments because I think I saw you from the press box. So we'll see that. Frankie Cosmos, I don't think it's crazy to think they could get a return for Angulo if they got something for Rafa Santos. True, that's a good point too.
Another team in MLS would definitely sign
Definitely.
Angulo. I mean, they signed Huon. They will sign Angulo. They love a
Send it to
speedster.
Houston.
Yeah, Houston is like, sign me up. Houston would take him in a heartbeat.
Alex is going to stay or move to the team, says. But Muriel didn't help himself with the interview in Colombia. Yeah, well, I mean, everybody loves to play in their home.
Muriel doesn't help himself in any way.
Yeah, I think he needs to go. Yeah. I think one of the international players gets traded. They have 9 international guys under contract already. Completely agree with you.
Some of them might be getting their green cards, though. I
I'm
think
missing Monday Night Raw
Ojeda is
for
probably in
LPL.
line to get his if he didn't get it already.
Does an MLS team give Muriel a flyer contract if we wait him? I bet your ass they probably will.
He shouldn't.
I mean, Houston.
Imagine if we waived him and then he went down to Miami. Imagine, and him and Pedro are playing for Miami. Imagine that.
You imagine?
That would be crazy.
Man,
that would be crazy.
That'd be insane. You imagine, bro?
If he would have played for Miami, I'd hate him even more. Anyway,
Regina Mortar, 7830. I have the midfield and forwards for next season. Midfield Cartagena, Tuesta Ojeda, Pasalic up front, Duncan and Muriel. There you go, Regina. Thank you, Regina. Appreciate you. Jave Mav says, Jave Mav nerd. Duncan is a sub. I just don't think he's a starter. Not enough stamina or speed. I mean, that's what I was telling John. How do you feel about that comment? I agree with him.
I mean, I think that the stamina and speed is probably just because we watched him like coming back from injury constantly this last season. Like, I think we've forgotten what a fully fit, constantly playing 90-minute Duncan looks like. But he was pretty good his first season, so I'm just hoping he can get back to that. But yeah, this is a real make or break year for him and this team, I think.
Spicer has earned the starting role based since he arrived. I agree 100%. I think the goals, the assists says it enough. And he's a fan favorite. And again, Trinidadians have always worked out wearing purple. So Ruben Perez, see you in 2027. So my friend Ruben, I'm so sorry.
He's gone.
He's probably going to.
You're coming back for the schedule shift. You're coming back for the Euro schedule in 2027. We'll see you then, Ruben.
Maybe Ruben's gonna get the Winter Garden FC season ticket pass for USL League One.
I love that. I love the vibe.
Apparently, Spicer ran a 5:30 mile in college. Oh wow! I mean, he's fast.
I think Spicer's almost as fast as Angulo, if not.
Yeah, and he's I mean, not to trash on Angulo, but he's more physically imposing than Angulo. Like if I'm in a fight and I have to fight Spicer or I have to fight Angulo, I kind of feel confident to fight Angulo.
Sid said yes, it was him, Luis.
Oh, that was usage. I saw you, my friend. I saw you on the Jumbotron.
Saw you in the Pride.
I was like, that's Sige. I was like, good for you, Sige. I told John after the game too. Like, I saw Sige. I also saw
Baku's
Elizabeth
coming
Eats.
here. He's saying, bring Gareth Bale out of retirement. Forget that, Faku. Why don't you come back, man? You know, because I see they're trying to sell you out there. So why don't you just come back? You know.
Yeah. Well, anyways,
Should we talk
look.
about some international?
Yeah, we can talk about some international. Yeah.
I'll just run you through the situation here. Of course, we're going to talk in a minute about Alex. That'll kind of be our main focus of this section. But David Brekalo played. He's out with Slovenia. Marco Paslic, of course, we know World Cup qualifiers with Croatia. Tyrese Spicer out with Trinidad and Tobago. You've also got Colin Gusky and Justin Ellis on training camp with US-19s. Gustavo Caraballo, we talked about him as well. He's been doing really well in the U17 World Cup
Venezuela, yeah.
as they've been getting some good results. And he played, I believe, I don't know if Pierre played in the Haiti game, but it was Venezuela versus Haiti. So technically we had two OCB players playing each other in the U17 World Cup there, I believe. I have to check the rosters and see who lined up. But Luis, you want to get us into the Alex Freeman and, USA situation?
He's definitely going to be a starter for Pochettino. I know that he didn't start in this game against Paraguay, but he's going to be a starter for Pochettino.
I feel like it's a really bold statement. I mean, I love it, but what makes you so sure that he's going to be a starter?
He has the edge. He has the ability. He's just he's the future, man. He could be the Alphonso Davis for the U.S. men's national team, a player that came from the Vancouver Academy, and so I think the sky's the limit for this kid, and he's all business. He's ready to go. I thought he had a really good game when he came in. Regarding the fight, shame on you, Gomez. I'm not surprised of his tactics.
Dirty Gomez.
And I also want to say the way I don't know if you saw the video, but the way they grabbed Miles Robinson from the neck, almost.
Well, I mean, they grabbed
Alex. Break his neck.
He had Alex in the headlock, and then they when they were pulling him out of that ruckus, they threw him to the ground. You see, they were throwing punches in the strike. He definitely took one to the face.
So
it was dirty.
Gomez has always done this. Have you seen?
Dude, he just looks like a dirty player too. You know, when you see a player, you're like, oh, you're one.
You have to understand, for a team like Paraguay, which was the darling of CONMEBOL last season in this qualifiers for 2026 in CONMEBOL, because they went through this undefeated streak, with Coach Alfaro. Paraguay is in the mouth of everyone in South America. Oh, my team should be like Paraguay. Oh, Paraguay. So for them to be humbled by the US of A, which in South America, they say, oh, these guys, soccer is not even in their main sport. It's like the fourth sport, right? So they don't have a soccer culture there. How dare they? How can we lose? How can we, Paraguay, lose against the Americans, for crying out loud? So that's the way they think. And so that's why they were really upset with this whole scenario, being this friendly, because this was going to make news everywhere in South America, saying how US of A humbled the CONMEBOL's darling. The president of CONMEBOL is from Paraguay. And that's the reason why I said CONMEBOL's darling is Paraguay, because they've always like that. And so it was a great game by the US of A. I think Pochettino's getting a hang of a lot of things. He's changing a lot of things around. And hey, we just hope tomorrow, which they're going to be playing Uruguay, they have a big task ahead, but it's not impossible. I think Bielsa is trying to also look into some players to take to the World Cup. Facu Torres is probably going to be part of that game. So Facu Torres probably will be in Tampa. We'll be there. Hopefully we get some words from him about Orlando. And yeah, it's going to be a fun game at Raymond James Stadium tomorrow at 7 p.m. So tune in. But I love Alex, bro. I think Alex is going to get far. And that's the reason why, guys. Alex, I mean, per sources, the club is doing everything they can to have him sign like a mini contract with a lot of clauses that he can maybe do whatever after the World Cup. But
Yeah.
he's just trying to take his time to think about it.
I mean, we talked about it before, right? Just take the deal and then we'll get you another sale in, after the World Cup or whatever. I just think at a certain point it's going to start messing with him, I think it needs to be resolved. Hopefully it will be resolved. Either we sell him this winter. I mean, that seems to be what Tom Bogert. I'll read you what he said in that tweet if I can find it. I lost it. Do you have that one up, Luis?
Yeah, let me share it real quick.
But yeah, I mean, I think he was talking about Villarreal this winter, or they're still interested in the summer.
Villarreal
And it's
is such a bad club.
Potential that he could go this winter still. So I'm not I'm not super confident that he's going to be here. Before I was like, okay, it seems very likely. Tom saying, will a winter deal happen? Loan back. So I think most likely that's the scenario, but they could also say we want him now and then we have to take the deal, right? If Alex signs a new deal, we have more flexibility in where he goes and we have more time and we can, probably make a better deal. If he won't sign a new deal and a team comes in this winter and they want to buy him and they say, we want him now, we don't want to wait until the summer and we're going to pay you this much and we're probably going to have to take it. So I think that's the thing is if Alex signs a new deal, he's going to have more options because we'll talk about this in a minute when we get onto the roster. I mean, the schedule change, but you're not going to get a lot of clubs coming in for the kind of money that we want in the winter transfer window. A lot of teams don't have a lot of money left at that time. Not a lot of them are going out looking for, a development right back that Alex would be. A lot of the time in the January window, you're looking to sign guys for the first team, and big teams. He's probably not a starter on in Europe. So how much money are we going to get out of a team that he's going to be a starter on in the January window? I just don't know if it's a lot. So I think for him to have more options, it's better if he signs a contract with us now. But if that doesn't happen, then we're going to have to, take what we can get in the winter or make the sale and hopefully get a loan back.
So, FYI, the club backbone, the front office pretty much has been in Europe. Wink, wink.
Yeah. I mean, Bournemouth, this wink, screams wink. Like Bournemouth to me, man. Like this is exactly what they would do.
Wink, wink, wink,
buy
wink.
him from us, leave him with us.
You didn't hear from me.
6 months.
Wink, wink.
So I would definitely see that.
So they could
buy him. We keep him here. 6 months later, he goes over after the World Cup.
One of the legacies of Luis Musi is opening these flows of communication with other clubs, not only in South America, but also the Bournemouth. See, terrible deal. So there's, wink, wink. Why not? I mean, they're working with the Portuguese clubs like Moreirense, with Sporting Lisboa. They're Bournemouth
like a Porto.
And stuff.
He could do well if he went to Portuguese league, like a Porto. He could start there.
It could be like
a top Austrian team, a top Belgian team.
It could be like, hey, we have this player. We would like to sell him. What about you pay us this amount now, Bournemouth, and then you loan it back to us, and then you pay us the rest at the end. How about that? It could be that. I mean, they could do so many things. And I mean, AFC Bournemouth is on, I think, 9th in the Premier League right now. So
yeah, I mean, this Bournemouth, Brighton,
Crystal Palace,
Brentford. There's a lot of these middle of Premier League clubs that do exactly this, and they've done it around. Like you've seen what they've done with guys like, who's the Baleba, who's the Colombian D mid, I believe, no, Ecuadorian D mid. They got
No, Moy
out of
Caicedo,
well,
Brighton.
Caicedo, but now the latest one is Baleba. Caicedo was
Yeah,
before, but like they have a conveyor
you
belt
have
of
so
guys
many.
coming from South America or Africa or Asia. Like they went and got Mitoma, on basically no money, and now look how good he is. Like that's something they do. So I think, and obviously with our relationship with Bournemouth, I'm talking about Brighton now, but it's the same thing. We can see that happen for Alex. And I think that would make sense if he's going to go to a Prem team. He needs to go to a team that's like, okay, we're going to loan you out until we think you're good enough to be, starting in the Prem. If not, like there's other European leagues where he might be good enough to start.
He looks like a Prem
He's
player
like
to
a
me, my
starting
friend.
championship right back, in my opinion. And I
Yeah,
think
to
that's
me,
where that would maybe not the league for him, but he could kind of slot in at that kind of level of team. If a big European club comes to sign him, like if Chelsea comes and sweeps him up, he's going to be put on the loan list and sent out. And you're
can
looking
be
at a
sent out
Caleb
and play
Wiley
in Orlando.
situation, right? It's going to be Caleb Wiley all over again. So we don't want that. And I think that he doesn't want that, but we'll see what happens with Alex. But it's the ongoing saga. I think Alex, Muriel, both of these things are key to what happens this winter, because if we do sell Alex, that's like, and it's a lot of money that could affect what we do with that money, etc. If maybe we can buy out Muriel with the money we sell from Alex, like, get some money here, use some of that to get rid of a player there. We'll see what happens, but I think these are key parts of this offseason that I think could make or break, right? If we don't get Alex out on a good deal, or if he just leaves on a free, that's a real bummer. And Muriel, like we've said before, just not excited to see him
Now,
here again.
Alex's camp has a lot of praises and things to give to Orlando City, because Orlando City was the team that believed in Alex. So just think about that. Alex feel very attached to the team, to the city, to the fandom. He loves y'all. He loves the support y'all bring, and he knows how you guys have welcomed him, tremendously. He's gonna do what's best for him, and also I feel that the front office is being proactive to maybe not wait till the last minute for what's happening with him, and maybe those trips to Europe right before the holidays. And it may not just be for eating some great Croatian food. It's probably to be looking at some of the partnerships that Luis Musi already built, and also looking at maybe some players, and with a coach, because in the end, the coach, he's the guy who's gonna set up the tactics. So uh, I love Alex in a Crystal Palace, Brighton, Bournemouth team in Prem. He looks to me like a Prem player, or like a starting championship caliber player, like John just said. He just screams that. I really don't see him playing in La Liga. Be honest with you, I know that's what a lot of people like, and oh yeah, the flair, bro. I I think he looks like a Prem player to me. You know,
I think
I
he's
think
got the
he one day play in
athleticism. Yeah,
Arsenal or
I
play
think
in like
he's got the
Liverpool.
athleticism to play in the Bundesliga or the Prem, or like
Yeah,
a real physical, high-paced,
yeah.
high-intensity league, because that's the kind of player he is. He's always going to have that natural athleticism that's going to set him here. What is like the mental aspect, the technical aspect. That's where we can see a lot of growth from Alex. All right, Luis, let's get into it. The big one. Something we talked about a little bit ago that was potentially going to come down the road was moving the schedule to the European calendar. Now, was it Friday, or I can't remember, just yesterday, they announced this officially. The club that it is happening. It was on Thursday last week. The new season, the new calendar, will run from kicking off the season in July. Will then run through August, September, October, November. About mid-December, we'll stop. There'll be a winter break, which will kind of go on till early February. And then early February, will start back up, and we'll have the rest of the regular season up until the end of April. And then May is just playoff season, baby. So I personally am all for this. We can talk about it here, debate all of the pros and cons. I've watched all of the, like, I actually, when this news first came about 3 months ago that they were going to vote on this, I went on Gold's TV and spoke with Jose about it. I went and talked with Andrew on MLS designated players about it as well. And I did a lot of talking about this. I've listened to a lot of different points of view on it. So any questions or any comments people have in the chat, I feel like I probably heard that point of view or heard that already. So I want to hear what everybody has to say, though, because I'm all on board. And I think it's just I think it's going to do wonders for this league, far more than signing Lionel Messi ever did.
This is getting serious for MLS. To me, this is a call to say we're here to compete. We're here to become a team that just did this pivotal move. And what's next? It's probably going to be loosen the restrictions. With this calendar, probably 1 or 2 seasons in, pro rel maybe with no restrictions in any salaries, it could be a way. I mean, you have to go slow because these owners, I think the model of MLS is they feel secure of investing because they're never going to get to second division, right? So to me, I feel this is more important than pro and relegation, in my opinion. The pro rel, I feel like this is going to help out tremendously the southern teams, like teams like Orlando, Miami, Atlanta, Austin. The weather for summer games and less cold weather issues, in my opinion, also is going to help out betting the performance for the Champions Cup, for the, CONCACAF Champions Cup, because there's no preseason. You're gonna have no pre. They're gonna be playing in their prime. Like they're gonna be playing while the season's on. So, also, I feel like there's gonna be more acquisitions because it's gonna be matched with Europe, and so the summer
100%.
window.
I mean, that's reason number one.
That's to me like the number one reason too. So
yeah,
and one of the cons to me would be maybe the bitching and complaining from the northern teams that have the bad weather, like the Chicagos, the Torontos, the Vancouvers, Montreals, the winter games. When there's winter games, no one wants to get out of their freaking house, which the attendance is like non-existent for those clubs.
Everyone's afraid of a snow game.
Right. So, but to me, it's the growth, and it's going to give the MLS not just a regional relevance right now. This is going to post the World Cup. Is going to make them Is going to make them to go into the global relevance that they were seeking. And I think once that happens, and we see better players with probably younger than Messi's age coming in their prime to play MLS, that's what's going to definitely make the MLS take off. And I think the southern teams are excited, southeastern teams for sure, but the northern league is probably a little upset, because of the league. But aside, I think this is a great move. This is a move that was needed. That it screams we are getting serious and we're ready to compete. And this is exciting to me. This is very exciting to me.
For sure. I think all those are many positives. I've got even more, but to speak on that one negative that you had about the weather, which is kind of what everybody talks about. There's a great graphic here by Ben Wright, who's one of the writers for MLS.
Thank you, Ben.
He put out the MLS calendar switch. He did a graphic here that shows literally how the season will overlap with the old season. And as you can see, it's basically the same. So it really, the only difference is we're taking that, that break that if you think about it, we always have a winter break because it's just the off season. Like we start play in February and they're proposing that we would restart play in February. Like you can see there, it's literally like a 2-week difference or a week difference. Like we're just bringing it a little bit further forward, earlier start in February than we usually would, but only by a couple weeks. And then the summer we always have off anyway. Like if you think about it, there's always kind of some sort of break, really. We've had like Leagues Cup, or there's usually something happening where there's like a big tournament where we've got to like break some time for MLS games. It might not be as long as what we're talking now, but if you just think about your off season, then you just flip the calendar. So yeah, your off season is no longer in the winter break, or now it's the winter break. It's just going to be in the summer. So it's really not that different. And I think the main benefit, like people talk about weather, clearly here, there's really not that much different. The main difference is you're going to have to play games in February and in late December in MLS regardless. Right now, there's a potential you're going to play MLS Cup, MLS playoffs in November and December. This current period that we are in right now for the playoffs sucks, and it sucks for several reasons. It sucks, one, because we're competing with NFL, college football, everything that happens around this time of year. Everybody's focused on that, and people just really kind of lose interest in MLS around this time of year. We see attendance always drop off. We see people's interests just drop off, really, because football started and they're into their football season. So you don't want to play your playoffs then. So switching the calendar and having your playoffs in May allows MLS playoffs to really actually get some coverage and have some time where it's not overshadowed by football. The other thing is, right now we're actually in it as we speak, is the dumb international break that happens in the middle of playoffs, which kills all the momentum of playoffs. So with this change, what you're talking about is May is just one long month of uninterrupted playoffs, which is, by the way, the same time that the final games of the top leagues around the world are happening, and we're going to wrap up the Champions League for CONCACAF at the same time that we're talking about Champions League for the Europe as well. So there's so many benefits there. Not only that, in terms of the international windows they're going to line up. Yes, the biggest one is for sure the transfer window, and that's really what this is about. And it shows the ambitions of the owners, that they're like, we're done like with this nonsense of having everything backwards, because they're getting screwed, and they know that they're getting screwed because they're having to sell their players for not as much money as they could, because they're selling them in the wrong window, and then they're having to buy players in the summer, really, or in the winter when teams don't want to sell them, right? In the summer is when everyone's doing their business. In the winter, most of the big European leagues, they don't want to sell their players there. So you're having to pull players out of their midseason to do a preseason. There's so many issues we see with it not lining up, like players coming here in the summer, like Adrian Marin, for example. You're never going to have that situation going forward, because, you just sign a guy at the beginning of the season, he has preseason, and we go from there, unless we need to do some, mid-season fixes in the winter window, like we kind of do now. The issue is now you're having to get your best players in that summer window, because that's when the world does business. So fixing that is the main part of this, but it just signals to the rest of the world that we are ready to be taken more seriously, that we are ready to do the business of the world's global transfer window. And when you think about some of the sales of potentially our players, like if you think about Facu, right, and we sold him in the winter, if we'd have had Facu and we're going to go sell him in the end of the season, after the season he's just had, you're looking at how many European clubs would have been interested in signing him, right? The reason he went to Brazil was because it's easier for him to get that deal done in the winter when we were in the off season when it happened. So there, I can name you 1,000 examples like that. And that for me is the most important part of this, and why going forward, eventually when we look back, we're going to say, oh, this was key because of the transfer window. All the other stuff, when are the playoffs, the weather, all that, like that's just kind of other things. What's important here for me is the transfer window
for
and what that
sure.
will do for the growth of this league.
It definitely. I mean, the transfer is important also, and again, I do want to add aside of the transfer, I may be able to see Griezmann wearing Orlando City jersey, be able to see Lukaku finally being our number 9. And aside of that, I mean, there's not a lot of changes. John just pointed out, but look, a lot of people say, "Oh, how am I going to watch?" and saying, "Oh, you're going to have loyalty to the MLS or not." It doesn't matter, guys. I mean, Spain, Premier League, they're all playing in the morning. Like I think up to noon.
Yeah. Honestly, that's
So
something,
you'll be able to watch literally soccer all day,
dude.
like a lot of the countries in the world do. Like so,
One of the
like
things
in
I
South
was
America,
thinking
I
about,
remember you had a game in the morning, a game in the afternoon, and a game at night. So
like right now, we are restricted here for us because of the weather that we have to do evening games because most of our season it's so hot. But with us having a bit more of the season, like we're gonna play more games deep into November and into December,
beautiful
and then
weather,
it's like, hey, like today, on this weather right now, like we just went to the Pride game at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was
gorgeous.
beautiful. Like so that's that for us. Like I know if you're in New York or whatever, you're like that sucks. But for us, you're now talking about winter weather games where you can have afternoon schedules. They can open up the TV schedule because they don't have to put everything at night in the summer because they're not having to play as many summer games, for example. So I think every part of the US is different with its weather. There's no other country in the world, like no other league in the world, really. And an MLS is even Canada included. Like there's so much to have to take account for in such a massive country. You're never going to please everybody. It's, the way before, I'm sure, we didn't like it because we were dying in the heat. And I'm sure the Canadians were like, oh, it's great. We get to go to summer games. And now I'm sure if you went and listened to a Montreal podcast on this, they would be like, this is the worst thing ever. We hate it. So it's different points of view. But I think really the weather is the only thing that
Yeah,
people really have an argument
100%.
about. And even then, like we said, it's not. I think there's a quote like it's 92% of the season is the same.
Yeah,
It's
it
just
makes
about when you're playing your playoffs.
it also. We're gonna talk about the different like the
Yeah,
conferences
divisions.
and stuff right now, but
This is
it
not confirmed yet, but
it
is
makes the
proposed.
league more accessible to
Yeah,
worldwide. So like for signings and for other things, for collaborations, and it just makes the league open to the soccer world.
definitely. I mean,
Bef-
the Alex Freeman situation, right? We're talking about right
Exactly.
now. Like it would just be so much easier to deal with
Uh-huh.
that if he was in the same windows.
100%. Go ahead, John. You were gonna say?
I was going to say, let's read some comments
Yeah,
and
let's
then
read some
I'll
comments.
talk about the other parts of what came out of this news.
Sage, how about comments? Thank you, sir. I'm excited about the schedule change, but I'm gonna miss East-West conferences. The 5 division seems kind of silly, says Frankie Cosmos.
We will talk about that in a second,
We'll take
Frankie.
just a
This
second.
proposed divisions.
Do y'all rate any of the free agent keepers? Joe Willis, Carlos Coronel, and Sean Johnson all got their options declined. Look, you want to go first, John, or you want me to go first, real
No,
quick?
I like that list of free agent keepers.
I like Sean Johnson because he's former UCF.
Sean Johnson, I like, but he's the oldest, right, on that
Yeah,
list. I would say Carlos
but
Coronel is it like he's only 28 years old. I thought he was like
no,
35.
if
Or does he not want to
Coronel,
stay?
I don't know, but
Something's up there.
look,
Because
if
why didn't he?
Coronel, if like if you want Coronel, then you should not let go Pedro, bro. It's the same thing. Like you're going
You
back
think they're
now.
the same?
Yeah,
You don't
pretty
think he's any
much.
better than Pedro?
Yeah, it's almost the same thing. I mean, he's a
That's fair.
player that
I mean, you
is.
see him play a lot in
Yeah, all three of these keepers
Commonwealth.
are keepers that are in a dip. If you think about
That's
it,
probably. I
but
don't know. I feel like Joe Willis had a pretty good season.
they're all in a little bit of a
I'm
dip.
surprised they let go of him after, unless he
Now,
didn't play
if
that well for
Orlando wants
national.
to be, if Orlando wants to go young on the goalkeeper corps, they're probably going to go to the draft.
I
And I
think
will
they're going to roll with
what I will
Otero, right?
see, what I will see Orlando do is out of these three, pick the one who wants to get paid the cheapest, and then have him compete with Otero, and then have a third stringer right behind.
What
That's the only
What are
way I
the
see it.
odds of Otero becoming the Venezuela #1 goalkeeper within the next few seasons?
It depends on the coach.
Do you
I
think he
think
has like a good chance? Like,
I
who's
think
standing in his way is what I'm asking, really. Like,
the thing with Otero is he doesn't have the exposure like the other keepers in Venezuela. So the other keepers in Venezuela, they're able to watch him regularly in their respective leagues playing starter roles.
do they play in
Otero, they
Venezuela?
don't. Huh?
Okay. I was just wondering because, like, if he becomes the starting keeper for Venezuela, then arguably, like, is it much different from the situation of when we signed Pedro and he gave him, you know what I mean? Like,
Well,
there's
no. What I'm trying to say is, if Otero, the reason you're asking me why Otero, it's
being
not the
like,
starting
I'm
goalkeeper of
asking,
Venezuela, right?
is it likely that he's going to push to become the starting goalkeeper in the
If he
next
become, yeah,
season?
of course. If he plays
Oh,
for
okay. Do
Orlando
you
as a
feel like he
starter,
has that
yes.
level in him?
Yeah. So if he plays as a starter of Orlando and he does really well, yeah, of course they're gonna
Yeah.
look at him
I mean, there's a
because
reason that we signed him. There's a reason that he's playing
100%.
for Venezuela. Like, he is very large. He's very athletic. From what I've seen, like, he played some good games for us. He didn't look out of place. He didn't look like, oh no, this guy's definitely not an MLS goalkeeper. I would honestly be fine with giving him a season. I think you
No,
should sign a backup MLS guy who's a veteran of this league who can step in if it goes horribly wrong with Otero. But I would roll the dice with him.
right, me too. I am 100% on that
Yeah.
boat too. I like Otero. I think it'll be good for Otero, and I think it'll be good for the club to go young in the goalkeeping corps. And then, like I said, if Frankie's mentioning three
Homegrown
old
goalkeeper if it
goalkeepers
works
right
out.
now, I'll probably take Sean Johnson because he's a former UCF player, knows the area, is a Orlando
Yeah.
guy, and he
As
could
a
probably
as
take
a
a
rotation.
secondary role.
Yeah, or you let those two fight it out to see who gets the
Exactly.
starting job. I
Yeah.
think that's a great idea.
Yeah. And then
Competition
you pick as
in
a
the
third
goalkeeper
stringer
position we
somebody
have
from the
not had.
draft, you know?
Yeah, I think that's where I would go, and I think that's most
Me
likely where
too.
they'll go is sign a free MLS veteran keeper, maybe one of these guys that Frankie brought up, and then let the two, like him and Otero,
Fight it out.
have some competition and be like, best keeper gets the starting role after preseason.
Yeah, because I mean, what we don't want is after Pedro leaves to go back to the Brian Rowe era. You know what I mean? We really
No,
don't want
we
to.
don't want that.
You know what I mean? We don't want to go to that. Because the
We don't
schedule
want that.
change is definitely a positive overall, but personally, gonna miss random MLS games over the summer when sports are dead. Paco Torres
This
says,
is sorry, Luis, on that. I just want to say that's the #1 thing that I've heard from people about, and like the most of their upsetness has been that like their personal sports calendar, they like the way it is now because like when MLS season's like getting to a certain point, then the football's on at like the summer, they don't have anything going on and MLS is happening. I get all that, but also I kind of feel like it's just people don't like change, right? Like you just have things a certain way and you like that and you don't like change. I think to say there's no summer soccer is not true because there's always summer soccer because there's international major tournaments going on. There are some summers where there's none of that and it's just kind of friendlies. But every 2 years there's a major international tournament happening, and that will fill that space, and you'll kind of feel like soccer never stopped. At least that's how I feel. Luis, do you feel that way being a fan of like multiple teams? And like for me, it's like there's always soccer happening year round.
no, it's actually nice because you'll be able to, like, at least for me as a reporter,
It'll line things up nicely for us.
I,
Yeah.
I love it. Like
Yeah. Now we need
like I don't,
NWSL to do the same thing.
yeah, like I'm loving it. Like, la, 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 la.
Yeah.
This
The only thing I want to say on this before we move on is that the MLSPA, so the Players Association, has not signed off on this yet. And
oh
they have
gee,
to sign off of it as one as the entities. So they
let's
have some
sign off.
negotiating power here to see what they can get out of this situation.
Let's read a couple more comments real quick, and then we go to the next topic. It says Ivan Perisic will be a good signing, says Paco Torres. There you go. Hey, when I sip too early and have Bournemouth all day. Sitch says Orlando City full team go to Eustis High School soccer field for practice. There you go. New soccer league come to Eustis High School soccer field. There you go, Sitch.
Oh,
Thank
you're
you.
requesting them.
Eustis FC for USL League One for sure.
We'll
hope
put it out
Alex
there in the
goes.
universe, Sid. We'll see if we can make it happen for you.
Yeah, I hope Alex goes to Stoke City. There you go,
That
Alex
would be nice.
Freeman.
We do need a right back.
Yeah,
That would be
Marta's the
great.
best
I don't think we got
woman.
the money.
Marta, the best woman, come to play to the Eustis High School. There you go. I'm sure she's gonna come, 100%. Wonder what Faku thinks about O'Hare immediately breaking his records. That's a good question for me to ask him. I'll definitely keep that in
I
mind.
think he was probably not surprised.
Let's
You
talk
know?
about how dirty Faku is hating on Mexico. He sucks. Only has a left foot, and glad he left our club. Sorry, not sorry. He's a spoiled brat. Well,
Stream is not a fan of Baku anymore.
it's because he fought with his boy Diego Lainez.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, former Betis player. Yeah, hey
Well,
man,
well, his club's already trying to boot him out from what I read. So,
yeah.
like, what did we say, Luis? What did we say when he went?
Hopefully he doesn't come to Orlando City.
We said watch them treat him like, and then he's gonna get upset, and then they're gonna get rid of him, and he's not very thick-skinned. And I think being a DP in MLS was kind of nice for him. And the real world of the soccer world, you don't perform, you're out the door.
And I'll be honest with you,
blanket.
a lot of people are not saying this, and people just guide themselves because of what Boca Juniors is.
Yeah.
But there's only 2 teams in Argentina, right? 3 teams in Argentina that currently have the money.
Yeah.
Boca, River, and Talleres. And I'll be honest with you, Boca is not going to offer him what Orlando has ever offered him or what Palmeiras signed him for. They're going to offer him money in Argentinian pesos, FYI. If he goes to Boca, he's going to be playing a historic club at the level of a Barcelona, at the level of fandom as like a top prem team, but in the Argentinian level. It's not, I mean, it's kind of like a lateral move.
He needs to go to
a lateral move from Palmeiras to Boca, but Boca, it's the Argentinian league compared to the Brazilian league. The Brazilian league destroys them in acquisition, in money, in acquisition, in TV rights. Boca and River are the ones who control the Argentinian league mainly. They're the ones who actually bring the eyes to the league. One of those teams get relegated, not good.
Well, I could see him going to like La Liga. I feel like he would be good in sort of like Atletico Madrid as a sub option, off the bench.
Or Levante.
Yeah, something like that.
Starter.
He could be a starter in a mid-level La Liga team. All right, let's move on. The other piece of news that came out, and this is not official. This is not 100%. This is what MLS is like exploring. I didn't make this graphic. I just found it. But it's kind of helpful to show you the divisions visually. So MLS is with this move. They're like, how can we change things? And they're talking about getting rid of the East and West Conference. They're proposing a 5-division system in which you'd have 6 clubs all in a regional division. So that would be for us Southeast, and as proposed here, it would be DC, Charlotte, Atlanta, Nashville, us, and Inter Miami. Now, the way that they suggested this would work, and I think this is kind of good, actually, I kind of like it, is that you would play every team in your division twice. So we would play
home and away.
We play Atlanta and everybody home and away. And then you would play every other team in every other division once. And that would actually work out really nice and evenly with these 30 teams, where you would actually evenly play the same amount of games. You would play your division team more, but you would play, every team would play every team, which right now doesn't happen. And that's one of my biggest issues with the way the MLS works right now, is it's not really fair, because every year different teams play this team or don't play this team, and don't travel to this stadium or do travel to this stadium. So I like the idea of every other team, every team playing each other. And I do think it makes sense. I was fearful from divisions that we would just play in our division, That I don't want. I think that sucks. I don't want to play Atlanta 9 times a year. Let's not do that. I think you too many of the games just kills the rivalry. A few more of the games are big rivals. That's a good thing, right? A few more Miami rivalry games, a few more rivalry games against Atlanta. That's a good thing. Playing every single team, I think, is a good thing. The other part about this, which is really interesting, is you wouldn't have divisional tables. It would go into one large table, just single table, kind of like the Champions League is now, even though you're playing different games against different teams, it's all going into the same table, which I do kind of like. And then playoffs, I don't know, they haven't really discussed how that would work, whether regional, winners would automatically get a spot in the playoffs, whether it would just be, based on seeding in the table, like top 8 only make the playoffs. I don't know. But we're looking at a whole different system here, potentially, Luis. And a lot of people I know talk about NFL in the chat. And I think this screams NFL, which I was not so sure about, but I don't hate this.
100%.
I don't hate this.
Yeah, I mean, it fixes like it's logical for North America. I mean, for the United States, similar to the NHL, to the NFL divisions, it also accentuates regional rivalries. It's going to force also, I mean, just look at our Southeast division. Big money in Miami, big money in Charlotte, big money in Nashville and Orlando are very similar when it comes to signings and the way they do their teams. Big money in Atlanta. So literally is rich against working class, if you want to pair like that. DC, Orlando, and Nashville versus Atlanta, Charlotte, and Miami. And it's going to force DC, Orlando, and Nashville to open up the wallet a little bit more. And it's going to just, I think it's nice to me. I mean, it's just going to build rivalries with Nashville, with Charlotte, with Miami, obviously, even DC, Atlanta. So I think the idea is I think it's great. I think it's
like
fantastic.
The best of both worlds, I think, if you do it that way.
Now, Anthony Solis says here, in your opinion, should MLS get rid of the Canadian teams? Vancouver and Montreal are having the stadium issues. I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think? What do you think?
I think it's really hard to, because they're franchises. So you can't just be like, we're going to cut you out. You'd have to buy the franchises out, and you'd have to buy each one of them out. I was kind of hoping that maybe during this time of major change, the Canadian teams would feel comfortable to go prop up their own Canadian league. Like if they went to the Canadian Premier League, that would be a huge boost for that league and be massive for them and make it much more, legit in many people's eyes. And more attractive for sure. So there was an opportunity to do that, but also you have to understand that they're franchises in a system that's all one entity, that's all shared. So you're basically just telling 3 of your clubs that you're gonna, buy them out and cut them off. Essentially, it's not as simple as you would think. And also,
I agree. I agree with that sentiment.
It's a lot. There's a lot there, but it is kind of one of those things that's always question mark. Like, hey, we just have 3 Canadian teams. At some point in the future, where there's even more MLS teams, maybe when would we feel like it's time for them to go be a part of their own nation?
I mean, I honestly, I agree with the Canadian teams. Either they start their own league or they, get rezoned, like they go to a different US state. Like we can maybe see, New Orleans Impact, or maybe why not have I don't know, South Dakota Whitecaps, you know what I mean? Like I would love that. Or if you like Slipknot, Iowa Whitecaps, with Slipknot and Corey Taylor singing there. I think it'd be fantastic. I think it'd be great. Because Canada, they need to survive, they need to create their own culture. I think it's too much.
It's growing there, and I think adding the Canadian MLS teams would accelerate that league massively.
Yeah.
But for all the reasons, like I said before, can you read Anthony Solis's other comments? Because he he summed up what I explained really nicely.
What's this? I think the idea to play each team in the division twice, then play of the other teams 24 games, which totals to 34.
Yeah. So 34 games, 10 in your division, which
Yep.
is against your opponents twice, and then once every other team, which would be 34 total, which right now where there's 30 teams, everything works out nicely. I'm sure in the future they're going to add more teams and they'll mess all that up, but right now it's a nice work.
I do think it would make more sense to get 32 teams and do divisions, more options and formats, says Anthony.
I think as they add teams, if they do keep adding teams, then they'll probably restructure like you see in NFL, right? They change around the divisions and
this
add this
though.
guy here and move that there. And I think, like you said, the benefits of playing as well, like just on your team in terms of so many, like just cost effectiveness, playing more games regionally, not having so many long away trips is good. I don't hate it. I think it's a good compromise. I like the fact that it's not divisional tables and you're just going into a one single table. And then let's just have like top 8 teams only make playoffs and that's it. And then it's just playoffs. Like that is perfect for me.
Yeah, I like that. I mean,
there is this question: if you come top of your division, or like if you win all of your games, right, against your division opponents, should that mean that you're, qualified for the postseason? I prefer the idea that it's just a straight table. I think this is the best way to do it is just a straight table. If everybody's playing in their division and playing everybody once, it's pretty fair. It's not the perfect everybody plays everybody, twice and that's it, but it's close.
Also make I feel, I don't know how you feel about this. I hate this 3-game playoff crap. You just make it a single elimination, 2 extra times and penalties.
Oh yeah. Well, that will be gone, I think.
Yeah, single elimination, 2 extra
to
times,
a single month of playoffs, I don't think they have time to do best of 3 in May.
No. That whole I face the same thing.
No.
It's ridiculous. No.
Because don't forget in that list of, that graphic I showed, in this season, you've still got to have the FIFA windows as well. So yes, we're having a winter break, but that's going to put pressure on the amount of games that we have because there's not every weekend in these periods of the regular season available. Some of those weekends, like right now, are going to have to be for international break. So you're going to have to squeeze quite a lot of games, especially between February and April. You're going to have to squeeze quite a few games in there. So I think we're still going to see like midweek fixtures where they have to, just to get around those international breaks.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's gonna be fantastic for the other markets too. San Jose playing with the teams up there, with Portland and Seattle, and also it's gonna increase. And this is the next move. Again, first is the schedule, then talking about conferences, the realignment of the teams. But this right here, we gotta go back to basics. Personally, and no disrespect to the friends that I have that work there, I personally have not enjoyed my experience with Apple TV. I like the Ted Lassos and the shows and some of the stuff, the movies, but it's been inaccessible, and it has created, especially in South America, for IPTV to grow tremendously because some of the games are so unavailable that IPTV has actually benefited from this garbage of paying extra. So this move right here is what should have been since the beginning, in my opinion.
100%.
100%. And I feel, and call me a conspiracy theorist, I have a feeling that they already paid Messi the money, undisclosed amount, and now they're saying, okay, yeah, let's make it available for everybody now. Now the base is paid off. I don't know. It seems to me, maybe I'm incorrect. Maybe I'm just being a conspiracy theorist, but for Apple to say, hey, we want to cut the deal short too, that's another thing. I think we should just go back to ESPN or to the American brand Fox Sports. This is ridiculous. Go ahead, John.
We gotta. I didn't see this, but there's an ad for it, so let's
Let me
I'll
see.
play
Let's
that.
let's let's
It's
let's play.
30
Let's
seconds of Apple
watch it. Let's
TV
watch it.
advertising that we're on Apple TV, which is hilarious because whatever. So, like you said, Luis, you know, this is how it should have been all this long. Well, when they proposed the Apple TV deal, this is what we all thought was like, oh, great, we're just going to be part of the Apple TV package. And then
Yeah,
anybody who has Apple TV will be able to watch MLS games. And
exactly.
then when it came out, they were like, no, there's a subscription inside of that. So it's a paywall inside of a paywall, which is the dumbest thing ever. And we know that it was causing problems with the sponsorship, and they're not being able to get their usual viewership numbers they were getting before from the TV deal. We know that this deal with Apple and MLS has not been going as they wanted, and so this I don't know whether this is like a concession from them or whether they're like we're going to make this work, but that they really said, let's just open it up to everybody, which is great because I think it's something like 45 million people have Apple TV. So now we're actually going to get those people, the benefit of those people. And it's one of those things that's given away a lot. Like when you buy a phone, you get like 3 months of Apple TV or, like certain subscriptions with credit cards or whatever, they'll give you Apple TV. They just did a deal with Peacock where you can get Apple TV and Peacock for like $20 a month. They're adding F1 into this as well, which is
Oh wow.
huge. And they're paying $750 million for the F1 rights. So that alone, just the people that are going to come watch F1 that are on the same network that might watch some MLS games. Before we weren't getting any of those, viewers. Like you talked about Ted Lasso, like who's like at the end of a Ted Lasso show, someone's like, oh, I really want to watch a bit of soccer now, right? Or like whatever. They're in that mindset. Before we're behind a paywall MLS, they would never actually organically see us if they were scrolling on Apple TV because they wouldn't be able to. And now you hope that some of these people that go there for many of their great shows or in the future for F1 or whatever else that they're trying to add to make their subscription more valuable, adding MLS as part of that. And you got to hope that some of these people come watch and potentially it's opening up to a bunch of not only American viewers but international viewers who have Apple TV subscriptions.
No, 100%. And I think again, it opens the league to how it should have been since they did this deal, open to the world. A lot of people that love F1 love European sports, soccer, essentially. A lot of South Americans love F1, and they're going to now be able to watch Messi and Alex Freeman and Chucky Lozano and Javier Otero, all with their subscription, which should have been since the beginning of Apple TV, and it just kind of, it's just being that quote unquote price commodity, but not really, kind of being shunned to the pay-per-view side, to now bringing into organically into the number of options that Apple TV provides. I think it's great, but I do feel though, I mean, it could be, also Apple TV has been doing Friday night baseball for MLB, potentially an option, because MLB has been having
Yep.
issues with ESPN. I mean,
Yeah.
if the MLB moves into Apple TV, I think we win. And we're going to be in the same scenario, same
Well,
scenario when we went with ESPN.
like you were talking about, if there's like a midday baseball game and we got a 3 o'clock MLS game, and then you've got F1 at 10 a.m. in the morning, like this is how Apple becomes a place where people are going to go and enjoy sports by having that sort of like live coverage throughout the day. And we're hopefully going to be a part of that selection. The original deal was for 10 years and it was signed back in 2023. There was an opt-out in that original deal for 2027. They've got rid of that when they restructured this. So they're all bought in for the rest of it. now that it's not behind a paywall, hopefully we're going to see, the real benefits of being on Apple TV. But it's still kind of a work in progress. It's very strange to have your whole league on a streaming service, even in 2026. Like there's not a lot of leagues that do this. Most leagues sell their rights in multiple places. We're giving it exclusively into one place in this country, at least. And, internationally as well, right? I know there's local games and they add a few more games here and there for TV, etc. But you think about like the Premier League and how much they're making from their TV rights. The reason they make so much is because they're selling it to multiple places. Same with like NFL, whatever. Like you're selling it to multiple networks. We're still just one entity, one deal that isn't really that good a deal. And a lot of the big leagues around the world, the way they make most of their money as teams and they can hand out to the leagues is because of the TV rights, because of the TV deal. So until we get to the point where we're getting like insane amounts of money from the Apple TV deal, it's just going to be maintaining the status quo. And I also think, Luis, like you said, losing that local, broadcast, I think it's okay, the coverage they do, but I'm not like, oh my God, I got to watch the pre-show because of this or that. Like I'd rather watch the Club Made stuff, or I miss that local, coverage that we used to have.
Yeah, plus that whole, I mean, with all due respect with, the local people and, that's dying,
It
I mean,
is.
people
It is.
right
It's a
now,
shame though, because I think that was something that was still going, there that was
right now we have
part of it dying is the Apple
150.
TV deal, right? That killed
Yeah, I
it.
mean,
Like,
right now, we have 150 people watching us that are super probably engaged Orlando City fans. How can you measure watching a set-driven show run by the club on TV? Like, it's just, I mean, if I was the owner, I would probably put more money on Loud and Proud Orlando, than, or, a podcast than just the studio.
well, we see a lot
TV
of
is dying,
clubs.
guys. That's what I'm trying to say.
A lot of clubs are moving into their own stuff, like making their own
Yeah,
content, like all the time, and they'll make like, I mean, I know Stoke is making, they have their own podcast, do their own YouTube
yeah.
videos, they do everything that the fans want to see, and that's kind of the trend. So I think that's also why you're seeing these local reporters, or what was local radio, is slowly transitioning into different ways to cover, and we're part of that for sure. I want to say on that note, everybody's here in the chat, please go ahead and drop a like on the video for us. We appreciate that, all of you who are here. Drop your comment if you have not done so. We had so many comments today, but if you want to ask us a question, we're getting close to the end of the show here. Drop it in the comments and we will answer your guys' question.
I'll just read some comments real quick while we're at it. It says LPO pre-shows when? Says, I mean, we usually do. I mean, we're like pre-game, like pre-game.
Yeah, what's the pregame?
I
We'll
mean,
see. We're looking at how we might do things differently next season, but
yeah, next
we'll
season
see.
we're gonna be doing that. I mean, we got your survey results and all of that. So, also Apple TV has been doing Friday Night Baseball. Thank you so much, Anthony. We don't even know if Canada will be America 2 by 2027. This is Ricky Cosmo. Yeah, so thank you, Sitch. Appreciate your comments, my friend. But exciting times. I mean, I think the way Orlando City is built and the way they sign players, I advise people to truly think about that. I understand y'all want Neymar. I understand y'all want.
I don't
I
want
want
Neymar.
Neymar. I want
Neymar's gonna party.
I want Lukaku. I
Neymar is
want
just coming to
Griezmann.
party, bro.
But bro, they ain't gonna get that. I mean, if you follow the team, they're gonna give you. I'd rather have 11 Pasalics. If I can
Yeah.
get 11 Pasalics, I
Yeah.
am 100%.
Look, I'll say this. I think the roster decisions, I'm like 5 out of 10. You know what I mean? Like I'm not
Of
super
course, no one's gonna
excited.
be excited, John.
No
After
one's
last season,
excited about
no one is
like
excited.
bringing back
No,
Angulo, right? But
of
also
course.
but also like it could be, I think, worse in some ways. I think we could have, I think we are showing signs that we want to change the roster. We're trying to spend less on Wilder, spend less on Robin.
Jansen.
We've moved on Pedro. Like, we are doing things to see major changes. I think we just have to be patient. And I think that, news at this time of year it's just going to be about the situation of what's happening. I don't think we're going to get transfers until January, at least. I would be surprised if something happens in December before the end of the year, maybe. So there's always this period where players are leaving, players are renewing. We don't really know what's happening. The squad looks like it does. And until those new signings come in, we're just a bit unsure as to what this team is going to look like. But we got to have faith that Ricardo's got a game plan. And by the time the season starts, we're going to have a team that's competitive and can do what we want. And hopefully Luis Muriel is not a part of it.
Hopefully Adrian Marin, they're giving him one more season because he's under contract. They're not going to just say, hey, you're fired. Doesn't work that way. It's just the club's not going to do that, guys. No club does that unless you're Blackpool and you forget to press send, right? Blackburn Rovers, sorry, Blackburn Rovers. But obviously,
for no reason.
Yeah, the club is working. There is a rumor right now brewing. My good friend Khalil Dornelis from Bandeirantes in Brazil. That Orlando City, there's a rumor saying Orlando City is working into getting Luis Otavio, which is a really like a Cesar Araujo 2.0.
That excites me. I think 18 years old.
Yeah, it's a Cesar Araujo 2.0.
If he's that good to be worth $5 million, let's do it. I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, he's played in Internacional. He had a lot of minutes. He was a starter D mid there. And he's one of the stars from their academy. Yeah. So
basically the same deal we got Cesar on, but like 3 years later, basically his replacement.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, that's exciting, but those are the type of signings you see Orlando City make.
Yeah. I got no problem with that. I got no problem with those signings. Right? 18-year-old who's worth $5 million has got to be pretty good. You're not worth $5 million 18 unless you know what's up. And that excites me. That's a good investment for the future. I got no problem with that, but we also need some veterans who can come in and be performing straight out of the gate.
Here's what we got. We got Cartagena being your veteran, and then you have also, don't forget, Joran Gerbey. So I think
ACL,
that but again, he's ACL, but we'll see. How
but we saw that with Duncan this year, right? Like,
true. Then on the right flank,
you've got Wilder and you've got Atuesta. If you want to start them, you can. I'm just not excited by that.
On the right flank, you have Pasalic, and right behind him, I would like to see, this is an opinion, Gustavo. I would like to see Gustavo Caraballo.
What about Nico?
And then I would like to have Nico see if he adapts to the MLS this season. You got to give the guy a benefit of the doubt. I mean, we just signed him, and this is normal Orlando City behavior based on the latest signings. Like, if you think about it, Ojeda came, his first season wasn't that hot. Pacu came, his first season wasn't that hot.
No.
So we'll see.
I agree. I think at some point we need to do something to create a splash.
Yeah.
We can't just go through this offseason signing guys like Octavio. That's not going to be enough. At some point, you've got to get the fans excited and bring them back. Because so far, the news hasn't been.
Yeah, maybe what you say is also true. Maybe they're ready to take an L for Muriel, and then maybe sign Richarlison. Which I don't know what happens if Richarlison is worse than Muriel.
Yeah,
like, I would rather, honestly, if you ask me, my opinion, sign me a 25-year-old from Argentina, top goal scorer, 17 goals.
Yeah, we need the Martin Ojeda striker version. Wherever that is, go sign him, please.
We need somebody that's hungry, that's ready to.
We need goals.
Yeah, goals.
Let's read these last few comments, Luis, and then we'll get out of here because we've been going for an hour and 45. So respect to all of you. If you're still listening at this point, y'all are awesome. But there was so much news we had to make a long one.
No Neymar, please. There you go. Thanks. Donnie Moore. Otavio sounds like an absolute minimum signing. We need playmakers, goal scorers. Yeah, I mean, we need Jack Grealish for sure. Frankie Cosmos. No one worried about Wilder coming off and an Achilles rupture at 32.
I am
Yeah.
worried.
Yeah, I mean, I
just don't
yeah.
think, I don't know how much we can rely on him to be week in, week out, 90-minute guy. I'm not worried about his ability to play. I'm worried about relying on him as our main guy after that injury.
Yeah, I mean, he's a very determined player, and I've followed him since he started. And again, he's been working nonstop to get that injury on point.
Yeah.
And that's why the confidence comes that he's able to not only take a minimum, but just go and perform.
Yeah.
Also, some of the players want him back, and he's a good part of the locker
our
room.
Defense, without him in front of the
Without
back
him
two, looked a lot more shaky. So
yeah,
maybe he's
we'll
exactly
see.
what we need back. But there is injury concerns always.
Frankie, awesome pod as always. Thank you, Frankie. Appreciate you guys.
Thank
and
you,
with
Frankie,
that being
for all
said,
your comments.
we're
Appreciate
160 people live. Thank you so much for your support. We're Louder and Proud Orlando. We are available on YouTube, so subscribe to the channel. Drop us a thumbs up. Click the notification bell for all notifications. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, X, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as Loud and Proud Orlando LP_podcast. We'll be also monitoring the whole situation with the signings. There are some things I don't even report on because I know that they're full of crap, like the whole James thing.
Yeah, ignore anything to do with James Rodriguez, guys.
I'm like, I don't think. I mean, yeah, it's great for the Colombian community. Don't get me wrong, but he's just. I don't think.
Muriel doesn't need a drinking buddy. No.
Exactly. Good stuff tonight, gents. Thank you, Don. I appreciate you, my friend. But thank you guys for your support. Thank you, John. Anything else you want to say?
No, we'll be back tomorrow for the Pride Pod to talk about the end of their season. If any major news happens this week, we'll be back live. If not, we'll see you guys next Monday.
All right. Thank you, guys. And vamos, Orlando. Have a wonderful day.
Vamos, Orlando.
Take care.